I have no idea what is going on in this world. My heart is so damn heavy right now. And I don't know. I felt like I needed to say something, at least on this front. Hope you don't hate me for it. I hope you don't send me hate for it. Things happen. You push play and just the right episode. Maybe this one might be yours. And maybe it'd be like, hey, look, screw Harper, man. I'm out of here, right? Take a stand, brother. Okay, I get it. What's going on, guys? Hey, welcome to an episode of the Ripple Effect Podcast, an episode that I really felt compelled to record. Something that is just hanging heavy on my heart right now. I have no idea what is going on in this world. Quite honestly, I'm very, very heartbroken and sad for how things are going. And I think it's boiling over into ways that we probably aren't anticipating or expecting, and B, that we're going to be a little bit ashamed of down the road. Give you an example. I work with a contractor who's done some work, and they are putting some very, very hateful content out there into the world. And I think it's become something that is self-absorbed into what they're doing every single day in terms of how they're responding or reacting. I had a question about a project, and it was like they went nuclear on me. Like, had no idea why. I didn't ask a really overtly difficult question, and I felt like the response was super, super unexpected, but it was also very unprofessional. It leaves them in a really bad light. And I kind of had been paying attention to some of what they've been putting out there and suspected that every comment that got put on the Facebook or things that they were saying on Twitter or X was ratcheting up their level of temperament. There's clearly a significant amount of anxiety around some of what we are going through, and it has boiled over now into their business. Fortunately, I'm a very understanding individual. I recognized what may have been precipitated before they got back on their keyboard and just blasted. And I'm a big believer in giving people second chances. However, when you respond and react that way, when I'm paying you really good money and you're putting out really super hateful rhetoric, it really becomes 2.5 strikes against you. So I have to make a decision about whether I want to continue on in this project. I have a lot of sunk cost. I have a lot of things that, I was expecting to be delivered, and I myself am going through a whole bunch of things and didn't really have time for these balls to be dropped or this project not to be delivered over the finish line. And I have a decision to make, right? Is this someone that I want to continue to work with? Is this someone that I want to continue to be associated with? And I think that this is happening all over. I saw it on Facebook, obviously after Charlie Kirk's assassination this past week, which was horrible, but I'm not political. I've seen people that I really respect and admire just put some of the most harmful posts out that aren't really bringing people to the table to have conversations. This kind of stuff is an opportunity for us to unify. And instead, it's quite the opposite. And you could look at that in a bubble. You could look at what's going on in the world stage, whether it be the economy, whether it be what's happening in Israel and in Palestine and all those, the divisiveness of where people are falling in line there. Putin and China, becoming even stronger and more buddy-buddy. There is a lot of anxiety in the world, and I'm not burying my head in the sand when I just sort of gloss over these things. There's actually so much crap that I couldn't even make a list of everything that we're having to deal with. And I realize it amps up people in the anxiety level and the frustration and the anger. But I'm so worried that people are doing in these fits of rage doing uncalculable damage to themselves in their reputation, what people perceive them as their personal or professional brand. And it just blows me away. I have another good friend that is very dependent on some very important clients in the marketing realm. And she just went off this past weekend because she made some posts last week, very insensitive posts. I actually went back and saw them. And she had clients that actually terminated with her, like boom, on the spot. And rather than understand why they had to do that, right? It started to be a character assassination on their CEO and, their project team, and, they don't know what they're doing, and, they're going to be sorry. And although I understand that they feel empowered in the moment to share these things, I'm just wondering how many of her other clients are actually seeing what she's doing. I wonder how many people are actually like, we're on the fence about doing work with her and now won't. And just like with my vendor kind of just losing their shit over something that was really, really somewhat minor, the damage that gets done in people's minds and perceptions is incalculable. Now, I know some of you might be like, well, you know what? The world needs a big shift. It needs a big shakeup. It does. I get it. I understand. There is a lot of things out there. And I'm, like I said, I'm not impervious to what's happening. I had somebody that told me on Friday that, you have a platform and you're not speaking out. And I think that says something about you. And it was said in such a way that it was really meant to be an insult, right? And I didn't take the bait. I said, well, how many times have you actually seen me get into the fray in politics or religion or any of the social justice situations, good, bad, or indifferent? And they're like, well, you don't, which just makes you or part of the problem. You're sitting on your hands, you're sitting on the bench, or on the sidelines, and you aren't engaging. And you're a kind of person who could unify people. But how do you unify when people are so divided, right? No matter what I say, I'm going to piss off half of my audience. No matter what I do, I'm going to alienate people, and I could potentially be causing irreparable harm to my brand. And I'm not trying to be Pollyanna. I'm not trying to bury my head in the sand and pretend, everything is, sunshines and rainbows. That's just not true. But it also is very, very, very obvious to me that people are not thinking before they're opening their mouths. They're not thinking before they jump on Twitter or X. They're not thinking before they make these, long posts on YouTube or Instagram. They're not thinking before they put these words onto a post about what is happening. I saw somebody talk about their kid's elementary teacher, 3rd grade, 4th grade teacher, and how when they met her in September or August, sweetest, kindest, young, 2-3 year, veteran of teaching, and how excited they were for their kid to be there. And with great interest, they follow her on social, and because she puts out all these great projects and these great things, and she asks for money for, her donors choose, because, let's face it, the education system doesn't give them enough money to take care of what they need to in the classroom. And then even prior to what happened last week, there was a shift. She was starting to use what had become a fairly large platform to tell parents what they are doing so wrong by not having these deeper conversations, and how they should, be encouraging their kids to be educating themselves and learning because the system is rigged against them. And it was like one post after another. And I don't follow this person. I'm just going based on what my, friend shared, but they could sense a shift, right? And then just with what happened last week, it was like off the rails. And this person, celebrating the demise of another individual, it just blew me away. And they were going in today, I assume, or this week, to have their kid removed from that class. And the kid is just the victimless here, right? Loves the teacher, loves the class, around all their friends, but the parents are like, gotta move. Can't have somebody like that in charge of my children. And I guess they made the comment that they had already reached out to the school administrator, I guess vice principal and a principal. And, they were basically saying it's freedom of speech. They can't dictate it. But, I know that's not true, right? I'm not saying, their response or reaction is right or wrong. I'm not saying what this teacher is doing in her own free time is right or wrong. I do know that there are countless examples of teachers that are trying to make some extra ends meet, right? Make some extra income, doing some things like on sites like OnlyFans that have been, certainly fired over those kinds of things. That's considered salacious behavior, but these, somewhat terroristic, I saw a couple of quotes, are encouraging terroristic actions. Isn't? I don't get it, but it's not for me to judge, right? And it's also not for me to put this on the platform and say, the right, the left, or the middle is the right way to go. It's just really asking people to think before you post, think before you, and I have been a victim of this, right? I've said and done things online that I'm not happy with. I've learned the lessons the hard way, but these tools make it just too simple and easy for us to just pop off at a moment's notice. And when we do, there are ramifications. And I'm just blown away. There's a friend of mine, I'm giving you a couple of examples. I could sit here for 3 hours and give you examples of people that have just shocked and disappointed me in terms of how they've approached certain things, especially this past week. But there is somebody who I know really well that talks about relationships and the brand building and very, very, very focused on all of the positive aspects of that. And then to just put out hateful messages and basically condemning. I saw somebody make a post that, you are alienating half of your clients. And he says, I do not care. If you are on that side, then you are dead to me. This is a response to a CEO of a company. And to say those words like, what is going on, right? What is going on with this world where we can't be civil or have an engaged dialogue? I just feel like social platforms are really starting to make, all the rules of engagement just go out the window. And it really, really hurts my heart. It really bothers me. Because at the end of the day, that is actually creating a whole lot of stress and anxiety for all of us that are on there. I mean, I was telling my son on Saturday, I'm like, I don't even want to get on Facebook right now, right? Because there's just so much rhetoric back and forth. And I wish, we could just wave a magic wand and get people to recognize, that they need to come to the table. They have to have discussions. I was listening to a podcast this morning. I'm going through some stuff. I'm not able to sleep all that well. So I was actually on my bike at 3 a.m. this morning thinking about all this. And I'm like, I just need to put something else in my head. And I ended up listening to a podcast. And it was an old episode from a guy that I really admire. And one of the things that he said was that we have lost the ability to be curious and to have conversations and to create diversity. And I talk about this in my work, right? Creating diversity in our connections, having people in your environment that come from different, experiences and have different perspectives, maybe different political and religious views. And rather than try to put them down for that or to defend your position, what can you learn from these people? And the only way that you can get to that process of learning is to sit down and have a dialogue. Not make it personal, not tell somebody they're stupid because they don't hold the view that you do, or not insult them, let alone call them part of the problem, and have some civil discourse, but no, not civil discourse, have a civil conversation and get over the discourse that is pervading every other aspect of our lives right now. It just was a perfect I think that things happen. You push play on just the right episode. Maybe this one might be yours, and maybe it'd be like, hey, look, screw Harper, man. I'm out of here, right? Take a stand, brother. Okay, I get it. I hear you. But I feel like I'm learning. I feel like I am trying to educate myself, and I don't want to be educated by people who want to indoctrinate me to one side and they aren't open to other perspectives or other angles or views. I want to be in with conversation where, hey, look, you're either in a position to strengthen your views, either because, hey, I sat down, had a conversation, and I'm even more committed to sort of my approach, but now I know something. Maybe I learned something from this other side, of the coin. That's great when you are willing to come to the plate and be at least open to being enlightened in some capacity. But these people are like, some of these, individuals that I'm talking about, like, it's just my way or the highway. And it's really difficult. This one guy that I was talking about that's really focused on relationships, I mean, he has been one of my greatest supporters. But I'm kind of right now a little ashamed that he is, because I am all about trying to be inclusive. I am all about trying to get the best out of people. I am all about trying to avoid as much conflict as you can, and you can have a spirited debate. You can have your point of view. You can have your perspective. Doesn't mean that you couldn't be wrong in some ways. I myself have been steadfast on certain things that I thought, psalm and verse, no doubt this is the way it is. And then I have been enlightened to open my mind and my heart to other things. And when I see these things, it just blows me away that there is just so much damage being done right now. And you sometimes can't come back from that. I was telling my wife this past weekend that it really, really bothers me, because I don't think we've always had discourse in our country, around the world. There's always going to be opposing views. But when we lose the ability to talk it through, to open our ears and our hearts to other perspectives, or to at least respect the other person enough to hear what they say and let them know you're hearing them, let them feel that you are engaged in conversation, it is inevitably broken. And then you add or compound the problem by these keyboard warriors who can fire something off in a matter of seconds, and they can really just light a flame in a situation where life is already throwing these flames at us. I mean, it is a full-on dumpster fire in a lot of ways. How is that helping? I mean, really, how is that helping? This person that sort of attacked me on Friday, I said, what would you like me to do? Like, what do you think that well, I don't know, but it just seems like you need to be out there speaking. And I've lost a little respect for you because you're not. And I said, that really hurts my heart, because I would hope that you would have more respect for me to know that I want to be as inclusive as I possibly can for anybody and everybody, including you. But for you to attack me because you don't have as big an audience or as big a platform, or you don't have a community or whatever, and basically sort of school me on that I'm doing it wrong when I feel like I've dedicated my life to doing it right, really, really bothered me. And so I was unsurprised when this person unsubscribed from my newsletter. They dropped out of the community we've built. And probably, even though they didn't say it to my face, they're probably showing me the bird on the way out the door. And that's okay. That's their prerogative. This is a person who has come to me a couple of times for career advice and guidance. I have not charged them. They've never even offered to pay. And yet I still would have showed up to help them anyway. Now, because they just have to, pull the pin on the grenade and just blow up the relationship. Why? Because I haven't spoken out, or because I haven't done things the way they thought I should. When did they become my brand manager? When did they become the CEO of my company? When did they actually get promoted to the level of decision maker for what I should be doing with my life or my message or my platform. It didn't happen. And yet I see so many people taking that same grenade and they're trying to create as much collateral damage as they possibly can. But what they don't realize is that grenade never leaves their hand, and it is going to explode in such a way that is going to have long lasting impact. And I just fear for them. I fear for where we are as a society. I fear for common decency. I fear for people not understanding that you don't take the fight to social media. You don't take your conversations to environments that can stir the pot. You sit down and you have one-on-one conversations. You have discussions, respectful discussions. Doesn't mean that you change your point of view or that you come to their side of thinking. It just means that you become a little bit more understanding and experienced. And maybe the venom that everybody is sharing out there on these platforms is because they don't have those outlets. Maybe that's it. Maybe they don't have their circle of people that they can go to and say, I'm really upset about what I saw last week, or I'm really upset about what's happening to the children in Palestine, or I'm really, convinced that, we're headed to World War III and I need an outlet to share my anxiety, my discomfort, or, maybe some of my anger, but, maybe I can do it in a way that doesn't come across as, a madman or mad woman. And you've got people that are there willing to hear you out and to accept you. I just want to leave you with this school of thought. If what you say today or what you type out on Facebook or put onto video, will it pass the test of you being proud of it 1 month from now, 1 quarter from now, 1 year from now, 5 years from now? And is the information or the rants and wranglings of whatever, is that going to be something that your employer, your clients, your future boss, your future spouse, partner, friend, when they look it up and they see that you did this, what do you think the outcome might be down the road? 1 month, 1 quarter, 1 year, 5, 6 years from now? Because the internet has a long memory, my friends. Trust me. As my Aggie friends, because they beat Notre Dame, always remind me, right? I bash the Aggies a lot, and I probably shouldn't. I know I shouldn't. Follow your own advice, Harper. Follow your own advice. I just want people to think. I just want people to understand the bad ripples that are being created. I know there's passion. I know there is anxiety, and I know that there is a lot of what is wrong in this world right now. Don't add to it. Be a part of fixing it. Be a part of coming to the table to have conversations with people committed to fixing it. Look for them, find them, encourage better dialogue, encourage, engaged discussion, and be willing to recognize and understand that your point of view is just your point of view. And not every single person on the internet needs to know it. And I certainly can tell you from firsthand experience, not every client will appreciate it. And they get the opportunity to vote you off the island by either telling your boss that they won't do business with them because of you, or they won't do business with you because of the kind of person you are, which can impact your entrepreneurial venture, your startup, or whatever, or they may not hire you. And you think you're the perfect candidate, but it's that one post that you made where you said something so salacious that they don't want to have anything to do with you. That's the damage we're doing to ourselves and to our companies and to our personal and our professional brands without thinking before we're posting. So I just wanted to share that. I know I will probably get a lot of pushback on this. I know I sound like kind of, I'm off the rails in a little, kind of a couple of different ways, because are you committed to one side? Are you not committed? Are you committed to dialogue? I get it. I understand it, but my heart just hurts right now for the world. If you want to make a difference, start being kind. There is so much need for it, And there's so little of it right now. Be the exception and go out there and create positive ripples. And if you've created some damage, own it. Apologize for it and say you'll do better. And if you don't know how to do better, go get some professional help. Find a coach, find a therapist, or seek some psychiatric help maybe. I know I need it after just the trauma of what the hell's going on in 2025. So follow suit. Maybe do the same. But just be careful with what you say and what you do, because you may find you can't come back from it. Sorry if this came across as a lecture. That was not my intent, I promise you. But man, my heart is so damn heavy right now. And I don't know. I felt like I needed to say something, at least on this front. Hope you don't hate me for it. I hope you don't send me hate for it. I hope you know it comes from a place of love, because I do believe in you. I do know that we can all do better. I do know that you are a good person. You probably only tune into this podcast to get really inspired by amazing people creating amazing ripples out there. So let's focus on that. How about that? And the noise will be the noise. And we choose to cast our stones in the positive pond, not the negative one. All right, guys, I'll be back with another episode with a really, really good guest. We've got some great guests coming up over the next couple of months. I am so, so thankful that you tune in and you are a part of this journey. If you are open to it, I would certainly appreciate if you jump over to ripplecentral.com and check out what we got going on there. And last little thing I will say is, if you are in a leadership role for your company, one of the things that I am offering in the fourth quarter is, if you buy 10 books from ripplecentral.com, the shop, we've just launched our new shop, looks amazing, it's great. But if you order 10 books, and before you do it, please contact me, steve@ripplecentral.com, because I'm going to give you a little special something to make sure that we reduce the cost on the shipping. But so there you go. There's an incentive. But if you order 10 or more books for your company, I will promise to do a virtual session for your team to talk about the ripple, how it impacts your work, how it impacts their career, how it impacts, leading from the front, and the ways that ripples can be engaged to make your company better. So it's a limited time offer, only through the end of the year, 2025. But reach out to me, steve@ripplecentral.com. I'll give you some instructions on how to do that, and we'll figure out how to get those books to you so it doesn't cost you an arm and a leg with the post office. Oh my God, postage. Whew, man, that's it. Is that being run by the mafia? Because I got a feeling that something's just not right. But yeah, 10 books can be a little pricey, so we'll figure out a way to get them to you for a little less money. But reach out to me. And as always, my friends, take care, be kind to one another, and ripple on.